We are back in the festive culinary barn and we're doing another of my holiday favorites, which is an absolute must. There can be no gripes about it. I must have sausage rolls for the holidays. And making a really good sausage roll is actually really easy. You can use store-bought products. There's no need to go out and spend all of this effort making your own puff pastry. Get a good quality puff pastry from the shops. Just make sure that it's all butter. Don't want any of those filler oils in there. All butter is what you're looking for. As far as the sausage meat goes, you can, of course, use pre-made sausages from the shop. What is of utmost importance, though, is that you remove the casings. Don't just take a sausage link, roll it in puff pastry, and call it a sausage roll. By all accounts, yes, it's a sausage roll, but it's not a particularly good sausage roll. And I want you to have a really good sausage roll. So if you can go to a butcher and actually request some good quality sausage meat, do that. You're going to need about 500 grams for the recipe that I'm making. But if that's not an option for you and you're just relying on the regular old shop, just get the best quality that you can and just use a little paring knife and remove the outer casing before you proceed. Now, I call these my cheeky sausage rolls because some sausage rolls recipes will just do sausage meat in the puff pastry, roll it up in the oven, tickety-boo, lovely. Other recipes will suggest doing a little smear of mustard on the puff pastry before the sausage goes on. Also equally delicious. But for me, I love chutney. I love British pickles. I love all of that. And I brought back a lot of it from London. And so I'm going to use one today that I brought back from M&S, which is their Boxing Day chutney. And it really is just kind of 3 essential ingredients, a little bit of egg wash. The whole thing comes together very quickly. And everybody, granted they're meat eaters, are going to love these sausage rolls. They're really good, served fresh from the oven with some more chutney on the side or some mustard if that's what you prefer. But the next day, even the next day after that, a little reheat, or honestly, there's been moments where I've just had a cold sausage roll with a fried egg on the side. Also, top drawer. Okay, so let's get on with this very simple recipe. I have the oven preheated to 375 degrees. Like I said, simple ingredients. So even myself, a professional baker, I use the store-bought all butter puff pastry. Comes usually in a box of 2, depending on where you get it from, rolled up in a piece of parchment paper. And generally speaking, you're starting with a square. You want to make sure that you've taken it out of the freezer to make sure that you're dealing with a thawed, still cold, but thawed piece of parchment paper. If you try and unroll it when it's frozen, it's just going to crumble all apart. One little step that I do like to get out of the way is just taking a rolling pin and just gently rolling out the puff pastry just a little bit larger than its original size. Not too much. I don't want to actually compress the puff pastry too much, but just a little bit bigger than it was to begin with. Just all corners. And I'm leaving it on the original piece of parchment paper that it came in the box with. Okay, then next step is the cheeky bit, and that is just store-bought, good quality chutney. This one is onions and a little bit of chili and some port and balsamic and assorted fruits, raisins, etc. Of course. If you don't love a chutney, don't use a chutney. Like I said, use the mustard or you don't have to do anything at all. But I love chutney, so this is a must for me. So a little bit of chutney down on the puff pastry. And I'm just going to use an offset spatula and just spread this evenly. I want to leave myself about a 1/2 inch border at the top and bottom of the puff pastry, just so that I have a clear bit of pastry to put the egg wash on when we go to seal these. So just a thin little smear of this, nothing overwhelming. You still want to make sure that you taste the flavor of the sausage and it's not overcome with the flavor of the chutney itself. So nice little layer of chutney there. Then I'm going to split this piece of puff pastry into 2, and I'm going to go left to right. So just as evenly as you can, just down the center line. And now you have 2 pieces, each with an edge that has a little bit of a border on it. So for the first piece, I'm just gonna lift it away so it's easy to work with. So, and I'm gonna put the edge, just lift that up so you can see, I'm gonna put the edge that I left the border on at the top. And then I'm gonna take half of this sausage meat. I'm just gonna eyeball about half of it. So roughly 250 grams per roll. And then I'm just gonna shape this in the bottom third of the puff pastry as evenly as you can. And this sausage meat that I'm using, this is actually one that I made. I used pork shoulder and mixed it with just salt and pepper, a little bit of fennel powder, and some ground apples and some ground or grated up onions or shallots. But if none of those flavors appeal to you, and again, you're just using shop bought, likely it might just have some garlic, salt, and pepper in it, which is totally fine. Okay, so I've got this pretty evenly laid out here. Just gonna grab a little towel for my hands, and then this is just a very kind of swift movement, just a gentle but fast up and over. And I'm just gonna tuck this in with my hands as tautly as I can. And then just press the two seams together, making sure that all of your sausage meat is tucked in the side, like so. Just press down with your fingers, and then you can use the tines of a fork or just use your thumbprint and just press the tines of the fork down into the pastry so that the two edges seal together. And you're going to leave the sides open. You can actually see the sausage meat in the center. You don't want to close those off. So just make sure this is nice and sealed, like so. I've got a tray waiting in the rings here, and just lift up. You can see it's nice and sealed there, and then just on to the tray. I'm going to do the other one. So take the remaining half of your sausage meat and just pile it up into the bottom third of the puff pastry, roll it over, and as best as you can, just tap down the two open edges with your thumb, cleaning up any bits of chutney. Using the tines of a fork, pinch everything closed up onto a parchment-lined tray, and then just using a knife, you're going to do some gentle perforations or cut lines into each of the sausage rolls. I'm doing 6 per roll here. And then the final step before going into the oven is to do a brushing of egg wash, which is just egg yolk with a touch of cream, and just do a gentle brushing all over the top as well as the seam, just trying to get it evenly around the edges so that everything gets a nice, lovely brown color. Do both of these. If you would like, you can sprinkle with some sesame seeds or some sesame and poppy seeds on top, or a little sprinkling of coarse salt or a fresh ground black pepper if you like. Oh, happy holidays. They are out of the oven. The smell in the kitchen is phenomenal. Between the actual sausage meat and the chutney and the buttery puff pastry, smells amazing. Here they are. They are piping hot. So you do want to let these cool for good, like maybe 10 minutes or so before you actually slice down into them. You want all those juices from the sausage to back up into that pastry so you don't lose all of that amazing moisture. So I'm just going to leave these for 10 minutes. Hopefully I have the patience for that. And then we'll come back and we'll slice a couple of them up. All right, I have zero patience when it comes to sausage rolls, so I've barely made it the 10 minutes. So those little initial perforation marks that I put in before they went into the oven, those now act as your cut lines. So just take a very sharp knife and just go right down through your cut lines. And you've got a beautiful sausage roll. Steamy, steamy hot, but oh so good. It's just super moist inside, if you can see that. And then, because I'm a glutton, a little bit of extra chutney off to the side, on top. Mm-hmm. This is Christmas. I mean, there's so many flavors that are evocative of Christmas, but this one, especially with the addition of the chutney, is just, it's so good. Mm. Crispy, flaky outside, moist, unctuous, stodgy inside. So very British, so very delicious. I will post this recipe on the website, but also this recipe, as well as the other holiday recipes that I've done videos for, they're going to be in my latest issue of my Substack, which is Shaking Out the Tablecloth, which I will tag here as well. So you can get these recipes as well as a little mini guide to my recent little mini break to London. Happy holidays, everybody.